Hello, everybody. I am super excited, and I think half the world is too, to meet Kai Henderson. And the best part is that I'm getting to know Kai just as we are coming on this line. I've actually met her a couple of times. We were doing some of the digital media in the Ultimate Coach. I was on some of your challenges. We've connected once or twice, but we never really got to actually have a full conversation. So this is going live for the first time. And here we are having a raw conversation about each other. And we're going to do it in the best possible way on camera because why not? We were talking briefly, and I want to share this with people. I want to go back to our conversation before the whole world is now seeing it. Is one, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time out, having this beautiful conversation here on this platform. And really, this conversation is an entrepreneurial talk. So we are just going to be talking about your journey, my journey, getting to know each other. And then honestly, just getting tidbits to people who want to jump into entrepreneurship and really giving back to society of what you've learned, what you should do. I really want people to learn from our mistakes instead of making the same mistakes. Because entrepreneurial, we make mistakes and then we go back and we're like, that didn't fucking work. What? But I want people to realize, especially from me, when I'm talking about it in my association, as I am a transformational wellness business coach, a lot of people come to me and they go, are you sure this is what you need to do? Are you sure this comes in? And now I'm just like, you know what? It's not that they're questioning me as a coach. It's just, you know what? I want you guys to hear this from other people too now. Because it's the same thing. It's the same people who are successful, right? It's the same. We're going through the same crap. And we're just the same people, just in a different light.
Same, only different.
Same, only different. So how do you pronounce your name? Because I want to make sure we pronounce it correctly.
All good. It's Kai, like Hawaii.
Okay. All right, Kai. Tell us a little bit about you before we get into our conversation, because you'll laugh all day here.
And that's totally okay. I could do that and lose a few calories, right?
Why not? I'm down for that. I'm always down for losing calories here.
One of the most common responses to someone reading my bio is, wow, you've done so many different things. And when you ask me, you're like, what kind of coaching do you resonate with? I was like, dang, why you gotta ask me that? Because that's the question of my life, right? What is that singular focus? So for me, the singular focus, it comes in the moment. How do I serve the person who is in front of me? And what I find is that the breadth of my experience, it is really helpful in working with who it is that is in front of me. Rather than me trying to fit it all into a box, I be here and I be with them. So that's my context and my preface before I talk about all of these amazing things and cool things that I'm up to.
Which is true, because when I read your bio, and like I said, I've spoken to you a couple of times, but I was like, she's a bodybuilder? She was on this? Why? Who is this incredible human being? But I've always seen like a fraction of it. I'm like, she needs to be one of my best friends now, man. We need to hang out.
That.
Where do you live, actually?
I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. I'm going to come to the East Coast next year, so we'll have to plan.
Yeah. People come to New York City all the time. We're like 45 minutes from New York City. And it's just like, it's the place to be.
Yeah. I'm going out there in February. I'm going for a different event that I'll explain to you offline, because I'm not announcing that until next year.
Okay.
But I will be out on the East Coast. So I'm going to be doing just a couple of different things. So New Jersey is on one of my spots that I am going to be coming into. A friend of mine has been bugging me to see him for. So I'm like, okay, I'm already out there. Might as well make the trek and then just do a couple of spots and then head home. So we'll definitely need to meet up when I'm out there.
Yes, New Jersey.
So tell me more about you before I go back on my own tangents again.
All good. Bodybuilding, right? We'll start with that one.
Let's start with that one.
It's at the top right now. I started bodybuilding about 8 or 9 years ago, and I went all out and I did 7 shows in the span of 2 or 3 years.
Oh, well, that's all.
And for anyone who's in bodybuilding, like, that's a lot to do in in that short amount of time. And because I did it in such a condensed way, like at the end of the seventh show, I was like, okay, it's time for a break. So I took a break. And then last year I was like, okay, can I do it again? So I just did it again. I called up my coach. I was like, what does it take to get me back on the plan? How can I step on stage again after being away for 7 or 8 years? And he was just like, here, these are the things, do it. I did it, and 6 months later, I was back on stage again. It was amazing.
That
And
takes a lot of commitment to redo that.
it does, but for me, commitment is a given.
Mm,
When I decided to do it again, what I decided within myself is, okay, I am a bodybuilder. So this is what bodybuilders do. And it was just like right back there. But if I was trying to think from, okay, who am I now? How does this fit in my life?
right.
Like it wouldn't have worked at all.
Uh,
It
you,
was like a switch.
yeah. So you define as being a bodybuilder.
I did.
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
now I'm not committed to that.
Mhm.
Okay. But I get it internally when I'm on and when I'm not.
Mm.
That switch comes on. I was like, oh, okay, it's bodybuilder time. Where are my egg whites? Where's my packaged food? Okay, we're getting up at 6 a.m. We're doing cardio and going to the gym. Like it's like that.
Mm.
And
I love this because you can turn it on and you
yeah,
can turn it off.
right.
This is a key thing for a lot of people to understand. When you're in a world of being committed, you got to state, I am this
Right.
and stay committed. And then it's just like this switch that goes in your head. That's bam, I'm in bodybuilder mode. Okay.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I need to do. I know exactly what I need to be. I know how to present myself on stage. And then you're able to switch it off, which is a gift. A lot of people are not allowed to do that. So I want to celebrate you for that because that is alone. Like yeah, a friend of mine, Daphne, she's on here right now sewing in the chats. It's a practice. What a practice. And it is a true practice on what comes in and a gift. So there's one part of IE. We got 10 more to go. You switch on and off on the other ones too?
It's more like integration with a lot of the other things,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It
As an entrepreneur, I've explored a lot of different arenas of just having a business. I had a product at one point in time. I've been an employee and I've worked my way up to being a C-suite executive in two different companies. So I get what it takes to be a team player and a part of an organization. I've been a speaker, I've been a consultant, I've been a coach. There are a lot of different roles to play. And where I am in my career now is I get the integration of them all. How do I get to be with who I've been?
That's why it was hard for you to answer that question of what type of coach would you want to be titled as today? 'Cause it's
It's
all
almost like it does not compute, right?
yeah,
I'm here and I'm being who I'm being, but I'm not being I need a title.
correct. And FYI, I didn't put your title down because I felt that energy, just so you know. So just so people know that she actually messaged me back as a soul coach. And I didn't want to title it because I felt that energy from you because I was like, I'm not really getting this type of energy where she's, bam, this is what I'm in. But that's the energy I feel from you, just so you know. It does resonate with me, but I wanted to make sure before I blast it out into the world that is exactly what you want to be labeled as. Because it doesn't have to be a label, right? We don't need a label. We don't need a lot of stuff. But with your personality and what you've done and all the accomplishments and this integration, I really love the soul coach because a soul coach is what you are in the present moment. And it defines exactly what you're talking about now. But I also wanted to make sure you really resonated with it. It's, I can do things that are like, dang it, Bina. I'm like, "Oh."
You totally picked up on that so well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very intuitive. Like I even threw out like messages and people were like, how is it this? And I'm just like, a lot of people will message me right away. Like they're like, bam, here this is. Well, here we go. Comes up. This is which there's nothing wrong with. I appreciate that for some people too, because that's exactly what they're doing or who they're being in that moment. Correct. And totally understood with that. But then there's some people was just it takes back a little bit of time. People I can feel them just pondering on it. And then the same question, like, why did you have to ask me that? I don't resonate with anything. And I'm like, and you don't need a title. And I want people to understand this. You don't need a title. Your name, your presence is all you need.
Mm.
You don't need a title. A lot of people ask me, and I only came up with a transformational wellness business coach. It's just because a lot of people don't understand what a nurse coach does. In that realm, I'm a nurse who has a whole bunch of medical thing with the life coach. And I tell people this is think of a person that's a life coach who knows a lot of medical background. We had sex, and bam, here comes out a nurse coach. Who can do anything and anything that you need help with in the same regards of what you're doing, right? We're able to coach around anything. We just have a lot of medical background. But how do you explain that? It's an experience. I wanted to write that under your name.
Oh,
It's an experience. But then I was like, I'm just going to wait.
Bina, are you creating my brand for me? The
I don't know. I'm pretty.
experience?
Apparently, it's a niche that I didn't realize I do, and I have such a high intuition with people that when people do these deep dives with me, they go, "How did you pick this up?" I'm like, "I'm not sure, but you should run with it and try it out." And several people have, and they're like, "This is exactly what I wanted." And I'm like, "Good, please, amazing." Yeah, we should do another one because I'm just getting to know you. We're doing this live, so. So tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah. In my bio, it says that there's a story that I love to tell,
Mm.
right? The story was about how I was getting to the gym to do my bodybuilding shtick at 6 a.m. Actually, I think I got there a little bit earlier than that so that I could get out by 7 and get to the office,
Mm.
which didn't open until 10. But because of who I was being, I wanted to get there 3 hours early, make sure the office was open, that all of my emails were answered before everyone else came in.
Mm.
And then I would leave at maybe 10 or 11 at night and then commute home and then do it all over again.
Mm.
And at that time, I was working as a publicist, a celebrity publicist in New York City. And I just really loved my job. I loved what I was doing. I loved what I was committed to, being the best version of me. People would ask me all the time, how did you do that? Whether it was a strategic plan that I came up with, whether it was about bodybuilding, whether it was about just being on point and
Yeah.
having everything done before everybody got there. It's time, effort, and passion.
Mhm.
And what I didn't realize until it was too late was the toll that it was taking on my body. So
Yeah.
I got to a place after a couple of years where I had to really reconsider what I was involved in and how I was treating myself. Yeah.
That's a big one with entrepreneurship and as a coach that whichever type of coach you resonate with is how do you treat yourself? And you can burn out. And what I'm hearing you say a lot is that you got burnt out.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And again, what I made it mean about me was that I wasn't enough at that time. I was like, "Oh, I'm not good enough to stay in this arena and do all of the things that I really care about. I'm not good enough. I come up with so many fill in the blanks enough." And that's what sent me into an internal inquiry, which eventually had me discover who I really am, but was such a journey. And it came from a place of, oh, I thought that I was already at the pinnacle of being who I could be. And I
Right.
was so wrong.
Because a lot of people already would say if you're working with celebrities, you're doing this publicist, you've made it in the career, right? You're this what people would assume is this big shot person because you're doing this, you're out there, you're with these high celebrity profile people, and then you're bodybuilding at the same time. And yet, what I'm hearing you say, even with all of that, you're still telling yourself you're not enough.
Yeah, that was what happened.
How did you get yourself out of that?
Woo, through a series of magical events, seriously. And the shortened version of that was spending time with me. I had to get to know this person that I'm here with 24/7 and also create and cultivate a relationship with her. I was previously just do and maybe take a moment and be like, "Oh, great. You got this placement at the bodybuilding show and you completed these tasks. Now keep going back to the grind." But now me time is like one of the most sacred things that contributes to who I be in this world. I come from that. I come from the love that I have for myself. I come from being enough. I come from this place rather than, okay, when I'm done, then I'll take some time to rest and center myself and all the things that comes with that.
I'm happy you said that because there's a lot of people out there that feel that they need to go, right? And in coaching and what I teach, even in my programs, is you got to slow yourself down. Like you got to learn to be present with who you are. In other words, it's like even on Fridays, I have a hard stop after 1 o'clock on Fridays because I want to be present with me, myself. And a lot of people know me. Like I don't even have my phone on me half the time. People won't get a hold of me on Fridays afternoon. If you do, you got to have my husband's number. That's how you're going to get a hold of me. I'll catch you guys on Sunday at like noon. But it's just
Right.
hard stops, right? A lot of people have to have that me time. So that way, like you're used to being in the silence. I think
Right.
a lot of time people have a hard time when they're sitting in that silence and they're sitting there and they've done so much in their careers or whatever in their world. Like you've done so much in your life to who you are today. But if you sit down, now you probably can be like, you can sit down and say, yes, I'm successful at X, Y, and Z. But back where you were with being a publicist for all these amazing people, it probably was, if you sat there and really truly just was present and you're still telling yourself, I'm not enough. There's something that was missing in that space because you're so focused on everybody else and not internal. And when people start pulling into themselves first and spread outwards, that's when the magic happens.
That's right.
How did that resonate? Like, how can you say that to somebody who is watching to really sit with themselves from your journey so they don't just keep hearing it from myself? I'd say the same. And I preach about this all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just like, but I just don't know how to sit still, or I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z. And I don't want to become that broken record and it not resonating either.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Right.
want people to be just where you need to be. And it doesn't mean like a lot of people like are moving in and out of worlds. They're transitioning into coaching or they're transitioning into doing whatever it is in their life. But it's that loving connection with themselves that I really want them to understand because that's when money comes in. We're going to be talking about some of your speaking engagements in a few. That's when that core confidence comes in of you're able to do these speaking engagements. You're able to go to these corporate worlds. People ask me all the time, they go, how do you just be bold and go to CEOs or talk to people? Because I'm content with who I am. That was a question for you. How do you transition from doing to just being?
And that has a lot to do with what you were saying earlier, Bina. You're like, this is an experience. Doing and being, yeah, we can talk about doing, we can talk about being, but it's not the same as actually being and actually doing. There's a shift that comes from, I can't say where, I can't talk about where it comes from, right? But we can go through an experience where you can understand the difference between them. Here's an example is that when I was younger, A lot of times people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I had the take it off the shelf answer. I was like, oh yeah, I like building with stuff. So I want to be an architect. And I did. My undergraduate was in architecture. But the answer to the question that I really had that I wanted to share was people would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be happy. And to have slowed down enough in my life now where I can look around and say, yeah, I am that. Mm, That's an experience. That's an experience that I gave to myself. So, an experience for one to have in being can go like this. Bina, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
And that pause between me asking and your answer, that's actually you taking a look at your being. Like, how am I? Let me go in and look.
And that's what I did. I was like, hey, I was like, oh yeah, I got to answer this live.
But the take it off the shelf answer, that's the doing. So I hope that helps.
That is I love this analogy because it is a very difficult, I love this question. So switching your values from accomplishing things to mastering yourself.
Sure. We can give it those words.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say on this, Kai, is that don't worry about the boxed answers. Like the off the shelf answers to me are things that are given to us by society. So it's just like for me on how I look at this is you go into a store and everything's already placed for you, right? It's already there. It comes in, you go down one aisle, there's a career path. You go down another, there's a financial path. Go down another aisle, there's a travel path. Then you go down another aisle and there's your soul path, right? And how like what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's like when you go into these stores and what you're searching for is you're getting answers from just what you're seeing. Right? It's a visualization, it's a feeling, or you can touch something, right? You're hearing people go, oh my God, this experience is so great. So now your body is moving towards that location to be what other people are gravitating towards, right? And
Okay.
in a being state, it's walking into that same store, but looking for things that actually are in suit for you. And it might not be on the shelf. You might
Right.
walk away with something that's not even on the shelf.
That's right. That's right.
Or you might walk away with, you might come out of that store with absolutely nothing, but taking everything.
Wow. Yes.
Is that a fair way to explain? I'm trying to make a different way so other people like that are listening and that are hearing, like, because being is it's very difficult to explain. And I've used this analogy once or twice now and just wanted to see if it resonated because you walk away with nothing. People are, why didn't come out of the store with anything? I said, but you did yourself. And that's just who being is in the moment and being content with that.
That's an excellent analogy. I love the way that you just created that visualization and just, it's so rich. It's
Yeah.
so rich and it is quite accurate.
Okay. Thank you for acknowledging for that.
That's
That's how my brain works. Today, apparently my brain's on. I mean, probably because they know it, probably because my brain knows like after a certain time, like I'm off.
And thank goodness you do it that way. As a creative, also, there's many times that people they don't feel, and I'll talk for myself.
Mm.
I was afraid to turn off. I was afraid that someone was going to need me. Someone was going to have an emergency. I would need to come up with something or do something for someone. And like for me to be off, how dare I? So to really get in touch with that off time, yesterday I was totally turned off. And that's oftentimes when I received the greatest ideas, when I have the biggest revelations, because my nervous system is calmed down, soothed enough to actually receive.
Mm.
So it's not that I have to come up with anything, but that these things, they find me and I'm in a state to actually be with it and receive it in that moment.
Mm.
Being able to be with you and receive your wit, your comedy, the nuances and how you are. Like, I'm really here and I'm enjoying. And that in itself is an experience that I don't know if I could have experienced that during that burnout time of my life. But it's a
Right.
gift that I've given myself.
Yeah. And that's a crucial thing a lot I want to people to hear from this too, is that sometimes the person who's in front of you might be the best person that you need that medicine right then and there. But if you're in a state of burnout or in a state where you're being resistant, right? Or a state of, I'm just not good enough, I feel stuck, whatever that negative notation is, you're not going to really be in that state of receiving. And I think a lot in entrepreneurship, a lot of people who succeed or get comes in, it's the person who's stopping them. And I hear this a lot, not just from one person or 5 people or 10 people. They're like, I just don't know how to move forward, or I comes in. And it's just because you got to hone in on yourself, listen to what you need, so that way you're able to truly listen to other people. And I was not there a year ago or 2 years ago. Trust me. I've only been doing this for 18 months now, coming up on 2 years come in next March. And so a lot of people ask me, well, what was the transition for me where I was not ready to listen to anybody last April, March? I just thought I knew what the fuck I was doing. Oh, not good. Let me try that. And then I fell on my face real hard, real quick this past year. A lot of life lessons came in. And then now I'm back to the world of just, you know what? I'm ready to receive again. And when we are there ready to receive again, and I'm talking like a real, like me, this conversation, this is a very raw conversation. Everybody, this was not planned. We don't know, like I know of her. This is the first time really seeing each other on Zoom after a year.
Yeah.
Like, in real talk. But it's just that rawness, right? Of like, I don't know if I'd be able to have this conversation with you a year ago. It would have been a fully different conversation. You might have been in a different state of mind. Did you go to Mumbai?
Yeah.
Yep. And even in Mumbai, we didn't even meet.
We were definitely in the same room, but we just didn't cross paths.
No, we didn't. And here we are a year later. And we meeting. There was a lot of people in Mumbai that I wanted to meet and comes through, but that's a chaotic different thing. That's a whole other conversation. Because that was overwhelming too. Because you stayed for the VIP dinner and all that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So see, we left, me and Cordelia afterwards. Luckily, Cordelia was very gracious to us. Cordelia, if you're watching, hello. I know she's watching, hi to her, but she was one of my mentors throughout that whole experience, where she really was supporting us, comes in because I got sucked into this world. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. I don't know what's going on in my life right now. But there's so many people and there's so many, and that's the part where I want people to understand, is that just because you don't cross paths in a location where you are, doesn't mean that person may or may not be significant to you later. Just like us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So what is new with you now? Whew. There's a lot going on with you. You give me a laundry list of things. I'm like, I'm just going to let her talk. Which one she wants to choose.
Yeah. A burnout recovery was a big part of my story. And it is a story that I love to tell. And imagine just coming off of working as hard as you possibly can, physically and mentally. What's next? So for me, it is creating business with ease. There are so many new tools and technology emerging that has us be entrepreneurs in a more easeful way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm exploring for myself. And that's what I'm committed to sharing as well. Creating systems, using things like AI. These are not, let's go back to the store analogy, right?
Right.
They're not things that necessarily exist on a shelf,
Right.
right? But creating and co-creating with someone, you can come up with a solution that really works for you.
Yeah. And that's the key is those systems. A lot of people think it's the personality, it's your brand, it's XYZ, right? A lot of the times it goes back to just a system. And a system literally could just be a computer and a Google Drive. It could be that fucking stupid easy. Because a lot of people are like, I don't have a system. I'm like, do you have a computer? Yeah. Do you have a phone? Yeah. Do you have a Google Drive or a way to store things? Yeah. You have a system. Like,
Yeah.
just that's it. That's all you need. You know, because it's the overthinking, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when you talk about AI, a lot of people feel uncomfortable with it because of it's not their voice, it's someone else. They don't know who the copyright issues of who has access to those or who's the who's actual the intellectual property. Is it truly yours if it doesn't come out of your brain? But then I go back to this real reality of if we had a thought, which comes back to the three principles, which we go back to with a lot of coaching may or may not think of. But your thought process is your thought when you're creating content the exact same as the thought of AI creating content? Just saying. A thought came from something we have learned, or a thought came from nothing, which I know a lot of people believe, and I believe in that too. Thought just is created. But if we can speed that up a little bit, why not use it?
It reminds me of two things.
Hmm.
One, it reminds me of the story that Ankush told on stage in
Yes,
Mumbai.
it does. And for people who were not in Mumbai, Ankish Jain's story was an amazing story, which I don't think I can ever repeat or really explain what it was, but it was about deep listening and a lot of other stuff. But again, just have to give you a shout out, Ankish Jain, if you're listening too.
Yes, thank you, Ankush, because that really changed my mindset
Yes.
about the tools and things that we have available to us. The essence of the story was that Steve Hardison was showing Ankush how he was about receiving.
Mm,
Steve was like, Ankush, hold this box of chocolates. I'm going to show you what it's like when I give you a compliment. So Ankush holds the box. Steve comes over and he smacks it out of Ankush's hand. Steve was trying to give him something in the form of a compliment, and Ankush just wasn't able to receive it. Right
mm.
now, we have these gifts in the form of technology that we can use for our businesses, and some people are just smacking it away. And that's fine. That's totally fine. There's a lot of factors to consider, and we're all entitled to have our own opinions about technology and how it occurs to us in our business. And for me, having been working on receiving for the past, I don't know how long, I'm like, holy moly, what a gift.
Yeah.
And I'd love to embrace it however it is that I can and help share it.
Yeah.
That's that's the first story. Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk offline for that because I know some people that will benefit from that conversation, myself included.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And the second thing is that I was doing some work with Townsend Wardlaw, who is freaking amazing. Also, another client of Steve Hardison's.
Mm,
And in conversation with Townsend, I took a workshop with him about identifying who it is that I serve. Right,
mm,
that question.
mm.
And there was one thing that Townsend said that like literally changed my life, and it was about slowing down. And I had done it tons of times before. It's okay, don't say anything just yet. Just let it like sink into your being and then answer. And that's the chatter that's going on in my head. But then I actually slowed down to the point where the chatter didn't make any sense anymore. And it had me get the real pace of life, that it's not, oh, okay, I'll just take on another client. No, that one phrase is a whole process of things that has to happen for an entrepreneur and their branding and their business. And what I've done now is I've slowed everything down, relationships, processes, all the things that I do, how it is that I am with myself. Wait, does that make sense? Am I really answering according to how I'm really feeling when I answer that question? How are you? Everything is slowed down. And at this pace, it all makes sense. And whatever it is that I'd like to achieve is inevitable. That's a big leap from not enough.
That's a huge leap. I was just gonna say that's a big bridge. It's like a rainbow. Two extremes that just came together. You know, my analogies today. I'm just on one.
I like rainbows, Bina.
It's like the truth, right? Like in rainbow, certain colors that comes out, right? Some people see all 7 colors that are there. Some people only see the 4. Some people only see the 3, whatever comes in. But it's still coming from that I'm not enough stage of what you are seeing and what the perception is versus to where you are now in this full being stage. And you're able to receive whatever colors that you're seeing internally with love, gratitude, and embracement. And I think that's now the rainbow analogy appeared. Now we have a rainbow analogy. We have a store analogy and now a rainbow analogy, people. But it's just that beautiful kindness that comes through it that I want people to truly understand that it doesn't just develop overnight. These are things that take some people 5, 6, 10, 15 years. And then some people, it takes a couple of months. But some people, it's usually never overnight.
Right.
And that's what I want people to really hear. This is not something that just develops overnight. Success or where you are, what you're doing, who you're being, even coaching world, right? It's like even public speaking world or professional speaking. Sorry, Jamin, you'll kick my butt for that one.
Bye, Jamin.
You too now. That's one of my coaches. He will kick my butt for that one. It's just like, even in the professional speaking world, right? It's gotta be in that sense of who do you want to serve? What do you want to do? But honestly, what message do you want to convey to your audience? And I've been blessed with several different speaking engagements over this past year. And a lot of them were handed to me in the sense of it found me versus me finding them. And I don't mind. I will go search for other things that I need to do. I would love to do that. But the number one thing is that internal thing of who wants to hear me comes out.
Wow.
Who wants to hear what I have to say? Or is my speech powerful?
Mm.
Is it going to make some things? It goes back to, it's a different light of I'm not enough to now, am I even going to be engaging? So a lot of people realize that different paths, different formats, when you're on different entrepreneurial space, everything just shows up in different light. And as I'm still in my own transformation of my own being, listening to people in my own growth, I still have those fears too. Whereas I'm on stage and I'm like, am I even going to make this? Is people going to walk out? Are people going to show up? So talking about that, I want to talk about your speaking engagements because we have a couple more minutes here. And I think we can talk for like another 2 hours at this point.
Right.
Which we will. We're going to have another conversation just me and you. So we can just laugh the whole time.
Yes, please.
So what are you doing in the professional speaking world before Jamin kicks both of our asses?
Lots of gratitude for Jamin, who's currently my speaking coach. Like,
He's both of our speaking
I'm
coaches.
so grateful.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has both of our speaking coaches. So Jamin, Phil, if you're listening, shout out to you too.
So there is this opportunity, and I use that word in a different way than I normally would. What I'm referring to is the possibility that I am and the way that I can impact people with this varied experience that I've had, meaning that There are tons of anecdotes, stories, conversations I could tell people about that have shifted my mindset. Like we've talked about being and doing so far. We've talked about going from enough to inevitable,
Hmm.
which is a paradigm shift that is just fantastic. And then going from working hard to creating ease through technology. And there's a need currently for that. And I'm here to help people who are in the university looking to integrate these tools. How do you integrate this into the corporate environment? As a former C suite, I could talk about that for days. The ethics, the morals around it. It's all a conversation in which we can create new possibility. And that's what I'm about, not just for myself, not just for the people that I love and care about, but literally it's available for everyone.
Yeah. And you did this 30-day challenge several months ago. And I think
Mhm.
it was on marketing, correct? Obviously,
Mark VR.
as you can tell, I wasn't the best participant in that group. Wasn't the best person in there. But I do remember bits and pieces of it to an extent of knowing like it was something you were doing from the goodness of your heart. And it was really I've learned actually looking back, like now I'm like, dang, I really wish I was more present. Talking about being more present. I wasn't open to with certain things, probably just because of where I was in my life. But now, like looking back, even with that alone, it's just you have a gift of giving. And I want to acknowledge you for that because I really wish I was a better student. I really do. Because it's like now it's like when you're at a level or different parts, oh, I want to learn this. It's like you had the chance, you ding dong. It was there. Like doing. But it's just those are different things that I like as entrepreneurs, and even when we're speaking and we're doing that, it's that receiving energy.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to receive it then. Now I am. Now I can. Now I do things. But that's like when you're on stage, it's the same thing.
Mhm.
That gift of receiving.
Say more. I'm intrigued. Talk on it. Speak on it, Bina.
This is where Jamin has been my blessing in its own disguise. He's been like my ace in my pocket. Because after I've done several different speaking engagements, right? It's that, oh shit, are they really going to show up? Oh crap, what's going to happen? You stumble, you come in, you have to burp in the middle of your speech or you sneeze. Things happen, right? And I make joke of it, but it's also just to remind people of you're human. I think that's like the biggest reasons why now people are looking more and more in my speaking engagements. It's not because of like the diagnosis speech that I'm working with, but it's also just the personality behind it, right? Like I tell them, I go, look, I got a slide deck, by 99% of the time, I don't follow it. So you might as well just not put it. I will read it and I'll be like, yep, that's totally not what I'm talking about. You're going to be totally off. Because it's about the energy that you receive in the room,
Yeah.
right? The energy that I receive in the room is way more valuable than me going off a slide deck. And I'm probably one of Jamin's hardest people to crack. But it's the truth. It's just how I do things. And now we're tweaking things and going into to be more me on that because I don't follow shit. I need to work on that. How do
Okay,
you feel
awesome
when you're on
talking.
stage?
Oh, say that again. Say
How
that
do
again.
you feel when you're on stage?
The being on stage to me is just like this. Talking to fancy term, the consciousness of the crowd. But for me, it's one person. I'm speaking to the one body of audience that's there. So for me, it is an energy exchange. And you could even say that it is intuitive, just like really feeling into what's here, what's next, what's now. So I could say that even if I deliver the same speech, it's probably not going to be the same every time because the people in the room are different. Maybe I'll call for more engagement, more interaction in one where I call for less in another. there's so much information in the present moment that it's such a rich experience that each one is different.
So where are you going to be in the next couple of months? Like, where can we, if people are local,
Yeah.
you're presenting anywhere local in your area, or are you going to be doing some lives on social media? Like, people, where can people find you? Because I do personally know that you have slowed down. You have done a little bit more inner work and things. But if people wanted to reach out to you, and she does, people, and I'm telling you guys, if you really honestly message her, she will reply back to you. It's the honest truth. If you have a question, you guys just want to have a conversation, she's not the type of person that's going to call you and try to get you into her program. That's not who she is. That's just not who you are. So, like, where can people find you now? Because I do know you're slowing down and it comes in as you're building the back end. Oh, I call the back end part of it. Like, what's new with you and where can they find you now?
Yeah. It's all in creation now. It's so exciting to me. It'll come out incrementally and it will be on my Facebook profile. So thank you 1,000% for tagging me in the live when we're done. And people can send me a DM when new announcements are ready. They'll be up on my page. And I just love to connect. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I'll be reaching back out. You can't get rid of me too often now.
Thank goodness.
And you guys, just so you guys, thank you so much for being on here. Thank you for having this live talk. If you had to send one message out to everyone that is in entrepreneurship, that's wanting to start, or who is in it that may or may not be, what's the one tidbit advice you'd want to give to the world?
My one piece of advice would be to really get to know yourself. If there's something that you're frustrated about yourself, just really slow down enough to hear what he or she or they are trying to say to you. Where is that coming from? What does that have to say about who you're being? And if you can slow down enough to hear that, you've got all the answers.
That's beautiful. I heard that because that's where I'm at in my world is I'm slowing down to receive more. So it's all in alignment with what I'm working on internally myself. And let us know how we can help you guys connect. And until next week, I will see you guys all later and have a blessed Friday. Have a good one, guys.